specific in regards to how we can secure data in 2025 for remote companies?
That's a good question. So most companies were nailed by the office, right? You put the security in the office, you put the firewalls, you put all those tools. But then when you leave that office, it's not as simple. And the funny thing is a lot of compliance standards, we work with clients trying to meet compliance standards all the time, still haven't caught up. They're like, no, you need a firewall in every single person's home and every hotel they get. That's not realistic. But in reality, when you're talking about securing data, a lot of our clients have now moved to not only having remote employees, but leveraging, whether it's VAs, leveraging independent contractors or temporary positions, where they're giving access to their infrastructure, in most of the places cloud, to these people and sharing access directly with them. And the concerns around that is your security is only as good as the weakest point. So if you're granting access to your server, for example, or a cloud system to an independent contractor, they have access to everything, and how secure is their account? So there's a lot of consulting that we do with our clients to try to figure out, let's talk about how you want to work, and then let's figure out the best way to do that. And maybe some of the security challenges we have to come up against when trying to make that as streamlined as possible.
We have very fast response time at Creative IT. I know that's one of the cornerstones of our business, and a lot of our clients love getting responses quickly. And we've talked about some of those operational issues with getting machines to people. And now we're talking about securing those individuals. Now, compliance is something that I feel has come up in a lot of conversations I've been having with business owners. It's, I'm afraid it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to get more regulated as time goes on. And what do you think is probably the most overlooked compliance risk, and maybe something that doesn't go unnoticed until it's too late?
Yeah, the biggest compliance risk that doesn't goes unnoticed until it's too late is backups.
Yeah.
You don't know you need it until you need it, and then you go to pull it and it's not there. Probably the worst time to find that out. It's funny because we talk to a lot of businesses and we talk to them about their disaster recovery, their risk, and part of that's backup. What do you do if the system were to go down? Sometimes they haven't thought about that. Sometimes they go, I have it. It's great. Can you show me the last time it backed up successfully? And they look at you like deer caught in headlights. I have no clue. And some clients we've brought on said, oh no, I've been backing up. We just brought one on 2 weeks ago. Their last backup was 8 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that's probably the worst one when you talk about what's the one you don't realize you need until you need it. But security and disaster recovery is an onion, and there's multiple layers to it. The other thing is compliance, like you said, is here to stay. What we're seeing is new compliance standards, FTC Safeguards from a couple of years ago, CMMC going live this year. And then you have the legacy ones like HIPAA, where there's actually teeth going into them. Because what these organizations are realizing is it's great to have a standard, but if no one's regulating it, no one's following it. And that's what we're seeing coming down the pike is we talk to remote companies all the time, and usually it's SOC 2, CMMC, HIPAA, and they're now being mandated not only by the government, but by clients. They're not able to win new business, or they're having checks withheld until they can prove that they are meeting some sort of regulatory standard.
SOC 2 has been very popular as well. I know that I've talked to some companies really this month that are awaiting contracts. As they get bigger with enterprise mid-market companies, they are requiring the SOC 2 standard, their compliance standard. And I think I would say a common issue is they start looking at the controls, and then they realize, I do some of that. And then they realize, but what are they talking about here? And so they go and they try to find a company to help them. They find some company that specializes in compliance that has nothing to do with IT, but they are basically a task pusher, and they basically say, okay, this is what you need to do, go do it. And I think we're up to several different companies now that are getting in relationships with these companies, and they're really getting stuck trying to get their SOC 2 taken care of. We have a solution for that. And I'd like for you just to highlight what that is for people listening, because I think it's such a reoccurring issue that I've been hearing now, and what makes us different in our program different from what we've been hearing lately.
Great question. And it actually is very timely because we have an in-house compliance officer and he does consulting with our clients that are trying to get compliant. So he'll actually meet with them and walk them through, hold their hands, he'll write their policies for them. So it's actually cool. We have a client who just signed up for that program. They've been a client of ours for 2.5 years, but they decided to go with another program for compliance. They had them for 12 months. They got nowhere. They're trying to get CMMC compliant. They don't have a SPURS score yet, which if you're not familiar with CMMC, that's the score that you'll get when you start that program. 12 months they've had that program. They handed it over we had our first meeting with them. They handed it over to us, went through all their policies, and within an hour-long meeting, we were able to get them a SPURS score. We were able to actually help them understand what they needed. And they were trying to go through and make everything compliant. If you're familiar with compliance at all, there's something called scoping. And scoping is where you determine where is the data live that needs to be secured. And then you limit what you're going to actually do based off of that scope, those items. They hadn't done that yet. So they were trying to make everything compliant. Once we explained the actual need of scoping and helped them scope it out, now they're realizing they didn't need to spend a bunch of money that they spent trying to make things compliant that are not in scope. So it's something that we are going to be able to streamline for this client, hold their hand, help them write the policies, meet the technical controls. It's something that we can actually get people from zero to compliance really quickly, rather than these other programs, which is what they had signed up for previously, that gave them an Excel spreadsheet with all the controls and said, go.
And a lot of compliance frameworks emphasize the documentation. What are those must-have policies that remote companies should be putting in place early?
Yeah. An acceptable use policy. That's where you should start. What are your employees expected to do? What are they expected not to do with your client data, with your company data, with your company resources, technologies? Acceptable use policy is a great place to start. After that, you really need to figure out a disaster recovery plan. So what are the risks to your business? And the way I always tell people to start with that, list out every single system and tool that you use, and then rate them based off two things. One, it should be how detrimental would it be if this tool stopped working? And two, what is the likelihood that would happen? The ones that come up as the most detrimental and the most likely to happen, that's where you start. You figure out what's your plan if that actually were to happen. And then you go down the list. So you leave the ones at the end that are either the least impactful. If it goes down, who cares? Or the least likely to happen, meaning you've got a partner that's really got things under control from a disaster recovery plan themselves.
And incident response, I think when we have conversations with some leaders, they talk about, what do you mean by that? And so yeah, I think it's funny that a lot of people are just concerned about running their business and making money, right? And having a good incident response plan is very, very important. Can you just tell me just a couple, maybe just quick things on incident response and something that we help some of our clients get into place quickly?